Let's talk about transformations of functions. This is a pretty popular topic in algebra, but also pre-calculus and a real hot topic in the AP pre-calculus class, which is probably where I'm going to focus more of my style too, where this concept goes throughout the whole course. So this is everything that we really need to know and understand about transformations of functions. So I have it separated into two categories. We've got the translations, and so you have a vertical and a horizontal. And then we've got the dilations, which is a vertical and a horizontal. So translations are going to deal with adding, whereas dilations are going to deal with multiplying. So in each of the columns, I've got the version of what the function would look like under both a translation and dilation. So that's the general form. And then here's a description of what is actually happening under those particular transformations. And so this is something that we need to know because we're going to want to communicate it. And then we break this kind of down a little bit more clearly. So, as far as the translations, instead of just saying, horizontal or vertical, we might also add the direction like up, down, or left, right. And then for dilations, I'm just clarifying what really makes it a stretch or a shrink in either case. So we have all those values. Now, these notes along here for each one of these is going to tell us what's actually happening to the X or the Y coordinate. So notice everything that's green, the horizontals, that's going to be happening to the X coordinate. The blue is happening to the Y coordinate. So we also have a graph, and all of these have the same function f. And then we're just kind of demonstrating in the picture, you can see an example of one of the transformations in action. So we want to play around with this. I'm going to spend more of the video kind of doing examples. So I have some problems that we're going to go over. But since a reflection is actually multiplying by -1, either the X or the Y coordinate, I actually added that into the dilation column. So you're going to see the reflection down here. So I'm not breaking them up into stretch, shrink, left, right, up, down, reflect across X, Y, although all of those things are built in. So I'm trying to simplify it a little bit. So we really just have the two big categories. Now, so we want to go over that for sure. We're going to practice these in just a second. And then I've also added this order of operations down here at the bottom. And so we have a very general version of what could be happening. And we want to make sure to understand what's affecting the X and what's affecting the Y. And the input is always it's always backwards what you would think. So that's why we really put that we're adding a minus C. So it's equivalent to subtracting or multiplying by a 1 over B value, which would be equivalent to dividing. So this is the input and then this is the output. So that comes up as well. So this is an overview of everything that you need to know. And then if we go over here, I have some examples. So we're going to start with working through each of these examples. So first we want to describe the transformations. So that is kind of putting the vocabulary to it. So if we're going to describe the transformations for the first one, we want to start with whatever's happening to the input. So you've got a 3. So we want to talk about what that's doing. And then you've got a -4. So we're always going to start with the input. So to give an answer of what is actually happening here, we're going to say the first thing is that the function g is going to shift left 3 units. And then the second thing that's going to happen is after it shifted left 3 units, it's going to go down 4 units. Another way you could say this, if you didn't want to indicate left and down, you could just say a translation of -3 units, but you need to change it to -3. And then you could say a translation, a vertical, sorry, this one would be a horizontal translation of -3 units. This would be a vertical translation of -4 units. So you can say left down or one of those. So you want to be able to recognize all of the vocabulary there. Now this one, if we go to B, once again, we're going to take care of anything that works on the input first. So that's going to be the 3 that you see here. So we're going to multiply all the x coordinates by 1/3, or we're going to call that a horizontal, and I'm going to just abbreviate dilation by a factor of 1/3. Now, this 2 and the minus, right? The -2, that's actually doing 2 different transformations happening really at the same time. So you can kind of describe them either way. So we can say that you have a vertical dilation by a factor of 2. Sorry about that. And then you would say the negative is going to be a reflection across the horizontal axis or across the x-axis. So we can say this is going to reflect over the x-axis. And then finally, that +5 on the end plus 5, it's going to go up 3 or 5 units. So we'll just say up 5 units. Okay, now part C. This one is interesting over here because we may want to rewrite it to be able to see what's going on. Usually you've seen the function first and then you have the constant on the end. Well, now the constant is first. So we could rewrite this to be -r of -1/2 x plus 1. And then now we actually have 2 things happening in here because you're going to have a reflection across the y, and then this minus out here is going to be a reflection across the x. So if we're going to describe these transformations, let's start with the 1/2. So 1/1/2 is going to be 2. So we would call this a horizontal dilation by a factor of 2. Then we would say the minus on the inside is going to be, it reflects over the y-axis. And then the minus on the outside over here is going to be a reflection across or over the x-axis. And then the fourth thing that we would say is it's going to go up 1 unit. Okay, up 1 unit. Now, the last problem over here, part D, we'll do the x -1, the input. We're going to say that will be right 1 unit. The 4 will be a vertical dilation by a factor of 4. And then finally, this one is going to go up 2. Now, these problems down here, part 2, it says evaluate using a table. I think these go a little quicker. So if we're going to find g of 4, so looking at part A, so if we want to find g of 4, that is letting x be 4 and substituting it into the function. So here we can just get this value out of the table. So you can see that f of 4 is going to be -4. And then this is just cleaning that up. and we get minus 11. Okay, so just following the order of operations. Part B over here, find h of minus 3. So that means we're going to stick negative 3 and for x into the function h. So that's f of 2 times minus 3 plus 1, which is minus 6 plus 1, or f of minus 5. And f of minus 5 is sitting here in the table. When x is minus 5, the function value is 3. So this is going to be equal to 3. Now, this last part, section 3, state the domain and range. This one is more popular in the AP pre-calculus class. So you're going to be given a function, so it has some transformations on it. But also, we know that h, the one that is being transformed, we have its original domain and range. So what we're going to do is find the domain and range of the resulting function, which is going to be g in this particular problem. Now, this needs to be done in the correct order. So we always want to do what's happening first, which is deal with the input. And then that input goes into the function, and then we get the output. So what's going to happen is we have to take, and this is special for the domain, so just pay attention to this part. Okay, so the domain, what you have to do is start with the original domain. So for this original domain, we said here that x is between negative 4 and 6. Well, now the input is no longer x, it's going to be x minus 3. So we're going to replace x with x minus 3. So what happens here is we get a new inequality. It's a compound inequality. And to solve this, we want to add 3. You could solve it simultaneously by adding 3 to the right side, the left side, and the middle. So that's going to give us 9, and then negative 4 plus 3 will give us negative 1. So that means the new values that can actually go into the function that has to stay within that domain are going to be all values of x between negative 1 and 9. Now for the range, you can actually just take the range that is given, which is minus 5 to positive 3. And the only two values that affect the range are this 2 and this 7. So this one you can do in 2 little steps. First, we can multiply that range by 2. So negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. And then 3 times 2 is 6. Because now this is just the output. So whatever went in the function doesn't matter anymore because it's going to end up getting multiplied times 2. So you can just multiply the output times 2. And then it has to go up 7, which is equivalent to just adding 7. So negative 10 plus 7 will be minus 3. And then we're going to add 7 to the other value. And so if we add 7 to the other value, then we're going to have a 6 plus 7, which is 13. So now y is going to have a new output between minus 3 and 13. Okay, so we just multiplied each of these by 2. And then we took the result that we get and we increased the value by 7. And that gives you your resulting range. So this one is a little more intuitive than this one because it's just dealing with what happens with the output. You don't have to worry about what goes in it. So let's look at the second one here. For this particular problem, like it says, we want to find the domain and the range. So we'll just start with the original domain. Looks like this. Now the new input is actually going to be minus x plus 2. So we're going to put minus x plus 2 in for our input, and then we're going to figure out what that's going to make the new domain be. So we can subtract 2 from everything. So you should end up with this. Now we're going to divide by -1. So what's going to happen is your sign is going to flip and it's going to look a little wonky, but we like the smallest number on the left. So I'm going to actually flip the entire inequality so that the smallest number is on the left. So our new domain will be x between -6 and 2, and it's not included here at the -6. The range, once the input goes in, the output, all we have to do is take the -2 to 4, multiply everything by -3. So -2 times -3 is going to be +6. And then 4 times -3 is going to be -12. So that also flipped the entire, you could say inequality, or change the direction, because now we have -12 should be on this side. Okay, because your smaller number is going to be on the left. And then we need to shift it down 1. So we're going to subtract 1. So our final answer is going to be -12 minus 1, and then 6 minus 1, like so. Okay, so that's the new range. And of course, you can put it in the inequality notation as well. So either which way. Okay, so the last example here, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to have the domain, and then we're going to write the range. So the domain is starting out to be this. Okay, so we're going to substitute in that x over 4 minus 1. So we'll multiply everything by 4. Well, or we could just go ahead and add the 1. Let's do that first. So 2 plus 1 and -10 plus 1. And then multiply everything by 4. Okay, so this is our new domain. And then as far as the new range, we're going to here just shift everything up 6. So 5 plus 6, and we can just leave it like that. Okay, so